Take.
Hmm.
George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Thursday, June 19th, Juneteenth Day. Where will you be? Well, I hope you will be amongst many who will be at the Bethany Baptist Church, 149 Beatty Street, for yet again, I think it's the third annual fireworks display. Here to talk about it is senior pastor of the Bethany Baptist Church, my pastor, the Reverend Phil M. Turner. Pastor Turner, how you doing?
I'm doing well, George. I'm doing well. And I am excited about the upcoming event. This is our third annual Juneteenth fireworks presentation. And we are excited about it because it brings the entire community together, and we're able to see families and people from the community, children, all in one place enjoying time together and remembering a very special part of African American history, and that is the history of the Second Independence Day.
Mm.
That is so special to Black people because a full year after the Emancipation Proclamation, the enslaved Black people in Texas were not made aware that they had been freed. And
Two.
so we're because of the nation's history and the narrative on what it means to be Black in America, we have to celebrate that because we have to continue to remember and even remind every generation of the great struggle and why it's so important for them to be holding fast and living up to the expectations that we made sacrifices because our hope at that time was that if we could just be free,
Mm.
okay, if we could just be free, then we too could enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, if we could just be free at that time, we were thinking we could enjoy freedom, justice, and equality. Okay, if we could just be in the position of all the other people, we could aspire to be as much as we could be, that we could attend any university that we wanted to, that we could become any kind of entrepreneur that we wanted to be, that we could fulfill our dreams like all of the other people in the country. And we have to keep reminding ourselves that now that we have more opportunity than we had then, more is expected. And we have to remember where we came from and what we've been up against in this country. And the fact that we're still standing is the testimony of our resilience and our ability to survive and to adapt.
B5, the celebrations, the face paintings, the music,
Yes.
the cotton
Yes.
candy. I don't know if there's going to be cotton candy, but whatever it is,
You
there's going
got
to
it. Yeah, we're definitely going to have cotton candy. We're going to have, the fresh popcorn. We're having the hot dogs and hamburgers and cheeseburgers and French fries, and we're having plenty to drink. We have all of the activities, the bouncy houses and the water slides and the basketball courts and all of that where people can engage in the basket. We always have like a mini basketball tournament for the young guys, and everybody can, and it's family fun. The adults are able to, and what we always make provision for is that if there's inclement weather, you can come inside and be inside in the air conditioned fellowship hall, and you can go back and forth between the fellowship hall and outside. And then we have to top it all off. We have the professional fireworks presentation that our people seldom see, but we see the 4th of July fireworks, and we see other fireworks for other grand celebrations, historical matters, but this one belongs to people who are reminded of their struggle and what they've come through the generations, and how we have survived, and how it is that we're able to look back and say, look at what God brought us through,
when
and
you
look at what we've been able to withstand, and look at our resilience. Look at us do
look
this
at us.
thing in America, you know.
When you say inclement weather, by the way, we're talking 5 to 8 this Thursday. Sorry,
Yes.
5 until 5 p.m. is when it begins.
Yes.
This Thursday, June 19th, Bethany Baptist Church, located 149 Beatty Street in Syracuse, just off Midler, or if you're on Erie Boulevard between Midler and Teal, if you're coming from either direction.
Yeah.
And
It's Midland on the north side, and it's Sealy Road
right, Silly
on the
Road,
south side. So
right.
you
If you
don't.
see them, if you go past the McDonald's, you went too far.
There it is. If you go east past the McDonald's, you're going too far. And
Right,
if you're coming west, then if you get past the McDonald's and the Salvation on the other side,
first left.
then you've missed Beatty Street.
Right, so it's the first left after
After
Sealy
McDonald's.
Midler.
First
Right
left
after
after,
McDonald's.
yeah.
Let's just go first left after McDonald's, right over
There
there
it
across
is.
the
There it is. There it is.
going west. And so, if it rains, will you then have to not have the fireworks?
Well,
It depends on.
yeah, we've been very fortunate and not had the rain, but we did have, where it was so hot
Right.
on one occasion till we had people going into the air conditioned fellowship hall for relief. But
Okay.
we have been prayerfully blessed to have beautiful weather on that day for in terms of having the fireworks.
And so, when you say inclement weather, you mean even if it's too hot, that's
Even
considered
if it's too
inclement.
hot, we good
Yeah.
because I mean, let's not forget we're descendants of Africans, okay?
Listen, listen.
We're from the what we would call the solar, not solar belt,
The
what we
people
call
of
it,
the sun.
yeah, we're in the sun, we're coming from the sun.
Yes.
Okay. And that whole area in that part of the world is in the Sun Belt,
Yeah.
and so, we can withstand it. It usually at when you get close to nightfall, it's usually cooled down quite a bit. So either way, even under severe heat, it's cool by the time we're doing the fireworks, so everybody can be outside and enjoy. Oh man, and the children are just so impressed when those fireworks start going off, and they see all of those different designs bursting in the air, and everyone is just looking up, and we have the music playing, and the national black anthem is playing, and and we're sitting there, and we're all together and
That right there,
enjoying. Yeah,
you
yeah,
have not. Let me just tell y'all about
yeah,
that
yeah.
Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Hmm.
With those fireworks going,
It's
and
magic, George.
ooh,
That
you
thing is magic.
y'all don't even
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that
yeah,
alone, right?
yeah.
Now there's a lot going on that day. So what I'm telling folk is you could be over here, be over there, but don't miss that.
Don't
Okay.
miss that part.
Don't miss that
Don't
part.
miss it. Because and you're right about that, George. No matter where you are, at dusk when that sun goes down, you whatever you've been doing before that will be over by then, and you can come in for that special moment.
Yeah. And
That
and
special moment that is just it's majestic.
it really is. So, Pastor, regarding the Pastor Phil Turner from Bethany Baptist Church, Juneteenth celebration fireworks beginning at 5. Most of the activities are free. The food, what nominal cost?
Everything,
Is free.
everything. We're making sure, and I think we made one year had a nominal cost for the food, and did not sit well with myself and some others. And as much as we can at Bethany, we want to give to the community.
Mm,
There is power in giving.
mm,
It's and so being scriptural for a moment, it's better to give than to receive.
mm.
So we just want people to know and see God,
Amen.
and that's part of the giving. Is that
Mm.
we want our community to know what it feels like to have a representation of God in the community, and
You,
that our faith still works, and it's still good, that work faith without works is dead. And so we want people to see that not only are we in the community, not only are we offering a holistic lifestyle, not only are we offering a place where we can get direction and where we can get fulfillment from being fed spiritually. We can have a wonderful place for raising our families
mm-hmm.
and building character into our children, and building great ethics and building individuals who can operate within a social system where they can maintain their morality and offer a positive presence in any community. Not only are we doing that, but we're showing people how spirituality and faith works. It
Mm.
works. You're one of those people who is evidence. Here's a man that came from meager means and has educated all of his children, has
Mm.
been educated himself, works professionally, and even has his own entrepreneurship. So your faith, your evidence that faith works.
Amen. And you know what? I got a strong prayer team behind me as well.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do, brother. Yes, you
I'm so
listen, man, and it shows you're making the sacrifice because I think you guys be praying like at what, 5 or 6 in the morning?
not 5 or 6. Let's start with 5:20 every
Oh my
morning.
goodness.
On the
Look at
mornings
that.
that we do it, it's 5:20. Yes.
Amazing.
Five
Amazing,
twenty.
man.
So,
Amazing.
and to the point, Pastor, I have been in other parts of the country, and if I woke up, now that's the thing. If I
Yeah,
woke up at
you
two in
know
the
what you had to
morning,
do. Yeah.
if I'm on the West Coast and it's 2 in the morning and I woke up, I will dial in if I'm
Yeah.
up. If I'm up.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention, I think this is important, right? To and I thank you for blowing me up or bigging me up for
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
because
Just
I
just
think,
acknowledging your truth. That's
yeah,
all.
and I say that because sometimes we're not. I walk in faith, right?
Yes.
I, and,
Yes.
and and even as I'm striving to be more perfected in that walk, I make no bones about. I'm a work in progress, but I will say, but I wanted to offer, uh, uh, shifting back to what you were saying earlier about if we could just be free,
Yes.
and I'm this is a setup question in the sense
Yes.
that right now,
Right now.
in this moment, all hell, it seems, afoot. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And like, all it's hell right now, for in a different way, not in the same way that some of our ancestors had to experience it,
Mm-hmm.
but what the evil is in the White House right now, and
Yes.
what they represent, and what the display we saw this weekend, and now going forward to Juneteenth, when you said us being together. So critically important times for us as a community, as a country.
Yes.
How do you view the celebration of Juneteenth 2025 through that lens of us trying to fight random deportation of people who are legal and undocumented, meaning people who are in this country, who are citizens of this country, who are being
Mm-hmm.
arrested for telling the truth, who are being
Mm-hmm.
arrested, who are elected representatives being arrested for protesting. You got the military being called on our own people, right? For not for a good cause. So I guess not. I guess, Pastor, I'm asking you to put that in a perspective in
Yeah.
this year's Juneteenth
Yeah. So
2025.
so so what we're witnessing, George, is how the movement of wanting to rid the country wanting to rid itself of our presence after there was no longer the ability to enslave us.
Mm,
And that has been the struggle.
mm,
And that struggle continues to mutate. Okay, once we could not be enslaved, so now the the means of exploiting us had to change.
mm-hmm,
So immediately following the emancipation in many states throughout the country, a black person couldn't be on the street. If you were on the street and you didn't have a job or you weren't on your way to someplace, you could be arrested. That
mm-hmm,
was a way of putting people back in bondage.
mm-hmm,
Okay, then we came up with what they called the chain gangs, where they would
mm-hmm,
arrest black people for almost nothing and still exploit their labor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then after that we came up with we came up with the Jim Crow and segregation, where you would take the black people and you would put them in one area and kind of fence them off from everybody else, but then go into those communities simply still to arrest people, because incarceration has always been a means of extracting people
Mm-hmm.
out of society and
Mm.
also using their labor at no compensation.
Mm-hmm.
So then once we moved through Jim Crow and civil rights legislation, then they began to infiltrate our community. You remember the crack epidemic, which was
Yes.
also a means to for mass incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea is that they want us, now that we are free, they want black people out of society.
Period.
Okay, and so the way to do that now is to say we're going to ship you all back. And we got to cut off all the means that allows you to elevate your quality of life. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't want any more money going into educating these people,
Come on.
because now they're competing. Okay, and then one of the ways that we were able to continue to exploit them is that we limited their ability to read and get information. So now they're saying we don't even want them being able to read. We want to limit the materials that will educate them on their resilience, on their brilliance, and on their intelligence. We don't want them knowing about any of that. And now we're saying we want to minimize and slowly decrease the number of people in America who are not European descendants. And so now we're saying we don't even want this country to be a receiving ground for refugees, unless they are from. The latest is that they're going to start providing money to resettlement agencies for resettling people, Afrikaners, the people who instituted um, South Africa
Apartheid.
apartheid. Okay, now we're going to take care of them, but the other people we're trying to ship out.
Yeah.
And so
And then add
the
insult to injury to rename all of the Confederate bases where those names are removed. Now there's talk of renaming and putting those names back.
Well, and I think that again, trying to do what the current president campaigned to do is to get America back to being what it was again. He said great again, but we know what that meant. We want to get it back to the way that it was. Okay, because clearly European Americans lived in privilege based on an invalid concept. Race is not a true concept. Yes, hang on. Yes, dear.
To
Okay. And so, the point I'm making is that we're seeing America change and modify its mission of making sure that white privilege remains, and that they have a clearly and so the
a
whole
restoration
idea
of
of
that,
sending
right?
people out of. That's right, because race is nothing more than a social construct.
Right.
There's no such thing as there's one race.
Human
It's the human
race.
race. That's it. And so they've created this idea of, and then the secrecy of not educating people that all human life, everybody in the world is a descendant from Africa. The whole world. The whole world, George. I my descendants and a European person's descendants are the same people.
That's indisputable.
That's indisputable. You will not find a historian or scientist in the world who knows what they're talking about who will deny that. And so we're and it's hard to continue covering up. You have to keep modifying based on exposure of the truth. But what we're looking at now is how the desire to keep this country as a haven for white privilege, how it has had to mutate and change itself. And now we are seeing people being sent out of the country, and only certain countries being labeled as bad elements. Okay. And anybody else who comes into the country, if they're Afrikaners, if they're from any one of the European nations, or even agents to a degree, are considered people that are wanted, and everyone else has been vilified. And so that is now the current. That is the current state. That is the current state of white privilege, and it has mutated several times. And that's why it's so important to force the country to see itself, okay, to have an undeniable visibility for people who have been oppressed, so that they will not forget what they have gone through in order to be in this country, but not only be in this country, but to be contributors to the livelihood of the country, the art that America's known for, the music that America's known for, the culture that America's come for, is all about what we have contributed to this country. And we have every right to be here as anybody else. And we have to keep reminding
We
ourselves.
built this country.
Thank you very much. Okay, I was, I know we've gotten so used to saying that, and I was eventually, you just couldn't let it lay out there, could you?
No.
You had to jump on it. Yeah.
Well, when
Because
you said we have as much right as anybody else, as
to be
much
here.
right. Come
That's
on.
right. Yes. Yes. You're so right. So yeah. So that's putting it into a contemporized perspective, George. To
Yeah.
bring it into the perspective where it has to be, okay, hang on a second. They're gonna have to wait till I come up because I waited for them. Yeah. Okay. And so, you know, we have to remind America as well as remind ourselves. Okay. And I think that is so necessary for our young people. We have this responsibility to educate them. Otherwise, they will not know the weight of their forward movement and forward progress, how important it is for them to demonstrate that everything that was fought for was not in vain.
Mm.
Okay. And that we know the full measure of our struggle.
Mm.
Okay. Because some people don't know. Without us telling the history, some people don't know. Our children didn't have the same struggle we did, because
No.
we were fortunate enough to have gotten some education, and was able to survive, even though we were under police oppression. We've been under social oppression. We have been under the resistance, or the uh, inavailability, or a lack of access to financial resources. All of those things that we have had to struggle and work our way through, and they lived better because of the work that went in. We did better because of what went on before we were born, and we have benefited from the civil rights movement, and our children are benefiting from the sacrifices that we've made. And so we have to show them and remind them what it cost, the
Mm.
cost. Because if they're not experiencing, then they if they're anything like my children, they think, well, y'all boomers are just so sensitive. You just, everything is not about race. Well, in America, it is. The history of America is racial history. Okay, that has been the American journey. Okay, that there were 13 fledgling, barely surviving colonies. Their whole lives were changed in 1619 when the first slave ship came in. And from that point on, this country has begun to flourish. Okay, the expertise, the agricultural expertise that was brought in by Africans, the medical expertise, the bringing to America the whole idea of inoculation, the vaccinations that saved us from the pandemic was brought to this country by African slaves who taught people how to inoculate themselves by taking the germ of a person who had malaria or something else and inoculating the next person with it to fight off the germ or to build up a defense against the germ. We brought that to America. And in fact, if we hadn't brought that to America, the American Revolution would not have taken place because Washington's army was overcome with smallpox. And somebody remembered that the slave had taught them how to inoculate each other. Okay. And so, I mean, there's so many stories whereby it was our presence that saved this nation. And so we have to keep America aware of itself, okay? Because even the average white person thinks that what they have been told is true, that
Mhm.
Black people are have no ambition, they are trifling, uh, with low morals and all of this. The thing is that all of those things that we claim not to be is exactly what we've had to be just to survive. So yeah, I hope we can't get it all out in this one session, but I hope that I brought some contemporization to what you talked about, what's taken place, not just in the last few days, but I would say in the last almost 400 years in this country.
And that's why when you come to the Bethany Baptist Church this Thursday, June 19th, beginning at 5 o'clock for the Juneteenth fireworks extravaganza and community festival, where the kids, bring your whole family, bring your elders, bring your lawn chairs, and have a great time. Food, fun, culture. And at dusk, baby,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
when those fireworks go,
yeah.
and at the culmination of the last explosion, and they play Lift Every Voice and Sing, baby,
Yes,
you are gonna be thanking us for that experience, because I remember I didn't make it the second year for whatever reason, but the first year, actually I did make
yes.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
No, I did. No, I think I missed
you
the
made it.
second year, but the
Yeah,
first year, wow.
yeah. And
I
the thing is too, there are very few occasions where our children get an opportunity to for us to come together and celebrate. And they need to see themselves in celebration
Amen.
and
Yeah.
to know that we can put together something that is for us and for them, where they can have fun, where they can socialize with one another, and we need to provide every opportunity that we can for them to learn how to be together and not be in contention.
We should also say that Pastor Phil Turner is the president of the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance in
There it
Syracuse, as well
is.
as senior pastor of Bethany Baptist Church. Anything on the alliance front we need to know?
Well, I do want us with this issue with the that took place, the matter that took place in I believe it was March 6th of 2022, when these two Sudanese American boys were shot dead by the deputy sheriff, and the matter was sent to the
Attorney General
attorney general
of New York State. Mhm.
to resolve. And 18 months later, we have to understand that this was a tactic that when the tension in the matter had settled down and people had forgotten about it, then we were told that the officer had been vindicated and that there would be no further action. But the truth of the matter is that we have a law enforcement officer who was wearing a body cam, not turned on, and had and turned off his dash cam on the car on his way to the scene, managed to get to the scene, and somehow was able to shoot into a vehicle where three unarmed teenagers were
And
in that car.
and then said something different than what we witnessed.
Yeah,
Basically, we're gonna say lied, but
that's right.
basically misrepresented what we saw on video. Now, at least we say that. Now, they
Yes.
say he said what he said, and then therefore,
Well, he tried to turn it into he feared for his life and they
yeah,
were trying to run over him, but
yeah,
the shots went into the vehicle from the passenger side, angled where he was already out of the
out of the way
out of the pathway of the car, and then the third shot was actually went into the side window, so the car was already by him, and
already.
and the boy that the teenager who was driving the car said that they were not attempting to run over him, they were attempting to drive away, and they knew that he was far enough away from the car to shoot accurate shots. You have to be in a shooting position. You cannot be diving to save your life
Mm,
at the
mm,
same time that you're shooting accurately.
yeah. So
Okay. And so we as a community, and this is, this is Trayvon Martin stuff to me, where America says it's all right to shoot black boys. We can't, we cannot, and it's not a matter of us trying to bring the deputy sheriff down or anything like this. We're fighting against an institutionalized mentality where our people are treated differently than other citizens. Where when law enforcement come into our community, they're slinging, they're slamming, they're tossing, and they're shooting. And that doesn't happen in any other community. Okay. Law enforcement is intended to law enforcement is intended to protect us, not keep us in check.
now, so when you saw Tish James right in Bethany Baptist Church not long ago at the funeral of Van Robinson, did you want to pull up on a sister or?
I did want to talk to her about it. And I know that in her position, she is in essence law enforcement too.
Yeah,
But I believe also that there has to be a moral compass that arcs higher than your than your uh uh than your camaraderie, because you're still a part of the system that's designed to take people to court.
yeah.
And this is the biggest offense, that when you commit a crime, when you are charged with a crime, you are entitled for due process. Okay, you must be able to go to court. And if you try somebody and they become convicted of stealing a vehicle and ravaging, some business or something like that, the penalty for that is not death.
It's not the death penalty.
It's not the death penalty. And teenagers do things as they're teenagers that they wouldn't do later on. Our job as a society and a community is to do all that we can to correct their behavior, because there are many professional people who are judges, attorneys, CEOs, even government officials who were reckless as teenagers.
Mm.
And because they were given proper direction and correction, they were able to go on and be contributing members of society. And that's what we want to do with our teenagers. We don't want to shoot them dead the minute that they do something we know it's not the best thing for them.
And so you want the community to keep this issue
Alive.
forward. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, I don't want what this officer has done to die, and
Mm.
as if nothing ever happened, because I'm still hurt over what was done with Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
That you can stalk a black teenager, and even the police to tell you to stand down, you continue stalking a child is fearing for his life. A grown man is following him and intimidating him. The grown man gets to get out and confront him and attack him and shoot him dead. And the country says that's okay. He was only a black boy.
Mm.
Okay.
All right, that's Pastor Turner speaking from the leadership of the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance. But as senior pastor of the Bethany Baptist Church, he wants to remind you of the Bethany Baptist Church fireworks celebration on June 19th. That's this Thursday. 5 o'clock it begins, and at dusk, the spectacular fireworks will commence. So see you there, 149 Beatty Street in
Got
Syracuse.
it.
149 Beatty Street in Syracuse. George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation. Pastor Phil Turner, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, George. Always.
Inspiration for the Nation.